So, I want to show you the CatLog device that is attached to the pet harness. That's basically the black box contains the GPS CatLog, and it's connected to a harness so that it will not get lost if applied in the field. The harness is adjustable. So there are a couple of adjustments. Here's the front side. You have on the left and right side, you have adjustment positions for the harness. And on the back side also one. The harness has a safety release latch. So if a certain amount of pressure is applied, then the connection will break. So you need to assess by yourself if the force required to trigger this safety release is too low, so the danger of losing devices is present. If it's the case, you can always close this safety release with some kind of wire or cable binders that you feed through the slots and close so to say the safety disconnect here. So if placed to the animal, this will be the back, the head will be here, this is so to say the front, and that's the back for the girth, and the feet will be in the middle, so it will not slip from an animal. So I will show you now the device and what to take care about. At the moment I've closed it with tape. If finally applied, it's closed with 2 screws. So you basically screw the bottom to the lid, and it will close the device tightly and safety. So let me open the enclosure now. So inside of the enclosure there are basically 2 components. One is the battery, that's the big part here, and below the battery sits the GPS. Let me zoom in a little bit so it's more visible. So the placement of all the components is critical. The problem is that the GPS needs to sit on top. Just turn it around. So that's the top. This is the side that needs to face up to the sky. So the GPS antenna needs to look up. And in that constellation, you will not get to the CatLog GPS connector in order to charge, configure, and download the recorded data. So therefore, everything is basically just stuffed together. It's not glued, not screwed. So let me show you how to disassemble it. Just remove the battery, and with the battery the GPS comes loose. So closer look here. This ceramic thing is the antenna. And that's in the upside position, so this is does need to face into the sky. We have a USB connector here. These are 2 status lights, and here is a small push button to disable and to enable the device. Let me show you how to connect the cable. So what comes with the device is basically an adapter to fit into the device connector here. And at the end of the cable is the part that goes into the computer, standard USB. So with that cable you can charge the device and also access the settings and the recordings. So now the critical part is how to reassemble it so that it will perform as desired. If you look closer to the lid or to the box, you can see a recessed area. So that's the area where the material was milled away so that it will be very thin. That allows the signals from the satellites to penetrate through the plastic and reach the antenna, where the GPS is basically gathering the signals and calculating the positions. So if you assemble it, you need to make sure that the ceramic antenna is inside the recessed square. Yeah. So as you can see, it's already centered through the battery wire, more or less. And we will put it down here. Now the battery is in the way. You can lift up the battery and see how the GPS is placed on the bottom. And there is a spacer foam plate that goes in between the battery and the GPS. So that's to prevent the antenna and the battery from moving inside the enclosure when it's closed. So put the battery down. You can still move the GPS a little bit on below the battery, and that's basically how it should look like. You also need to take care that these battery wires are not laying on top of these posts, because when you put on the lid or the bottom plate, it depends from what orientation you see it, then you will realize that the opposite part here will be in contact with the screw post here, and if something is catched in between, then the enclosure will not close reliable and or the wire will get disconnected. What you will also need to watch out is the battery itself. It's not a rigid type of a battery enclosure, it's more like a foil, plastic aluminum foil, so it's a little bit flexible. That allows you to squeeze it in and move it a little bit around, but also the danger is if you push in the battery that you can have a situation that the battery material here, the side, can also be in the area that is later on compressed through a screw you drive in. Yeah? So you need to watch out that it all stays clear. So nothing is catched here at the post, nothing is laying on the circumference of a lid here. And once you checked it all, you just align it and snap close it. You can look around for the gap here, so there should not be a visible gap around the box. And if you are now up to final deployment, everything is set, the GPS is turned on, then you just place these two Phillips screws here and drive them in. Oh. So now, what else is to consider? There is no gasket between the lid and the base plate, so it's not 100% waterproof. It will withstand whatever water is collected through the rain, but if the animal is in the water, diving, swimming, whatever, water will get in and not get out anymore. Through the arrangement of a components inside, you see that the GPS and the electrical part is basically on the top here. So even if water intrudes into the enclosure and it will stay on the bottom below the battery, it's not critical. But if you think the animal will get wet and dive and whatever, what you need to do before you finally close the enclosure for the deployment is to apply some sealant material between the lid and the base plate. You can use silicone, you can use grease, whatever, just to finally close the make the gap watertight. If you do so, you also need to apply some of the material here, like a silicone or a grease in here, because the water will also penetrate through the screw hole, and so it is not sufficient just to apply the sealing material in the gap between the bottom and the base plate. Okay, what else to consider? If you plan a long-term deployment when it's required to turn the LEDs off, there's an option in the control center to do so. This will significantly reduce the energy consumption. What else you need to configure is maybe to disable the option to turn the device off once it's enabled. Since there is a mechanical switch on the GPS here, there's always the danger that due to vibration or whatever, this switch gets triggered and that will basically stop the recording. So there's an option also in the control center to turn it off, so that you can turn on the device with a switch, but once it's on, it will never get off. So that way it's ensured it will stay on whatever happens. It will run until the battery is empty. Okay, so that's basically all. I hope this helps you, and good luck for your deployment.